Let's talk about Octopus Cosy. Now, I was very critical of this as a viable heat pump ready tariff that would really support you. I thought there were better options from Octopus Energy, but there's been some changes and now I think it's a really good contender. So from the 1st of July, we're going to see a lot of updates to a lot of the tariffs. A lot of the rates are changing. So whichever tariff you're on, you should probably go and have a look and see how that could affect you. And if some of the balance is being altered a little bit depending on what your energy strategy is. So the thing to say, in the past, Cosy, the basic principle of it was that you had a baseline charge throughout the day, and then during the peak period of 4 to 7 p.m, you had a really expensive period that was double the discount that you were getting through what they call the double dip, where you get the cheap periods of energy. Now, the reason that this didn't work necessarily for heat pumps by themselves was a heat pump, to get the best efficiency, needs to run for a very long time. And these short windows of opportunity were just weren't enough for really any homes. It doesn't matter if you're well insulated or not. This just wasn't enough. The only way that you could make this tariff work for you was if you had home storage batteries, and you could then surf your way through this higher charge period, this peak period, and you could also not only overdrive the heat pump during these cheaper hours, but you could also recharge your battery during these cheaper hours, so that you could mostly be running off battery power to see you through this period and definitely through this period as well. And that brought a few complications as well, because if people were running their heat pump flat out to try and pre-warm the home and charge the home with that heat energy, there was no time period to run your hot water cycle. And so what most people were doing was running their hot water cycle in this period or this period at very normal rates, unless they had extra large battery capacity. And as you can see in the past, this is an idea of some of the rates. This was coming out of the last winter, so these aren't even accurate for now, let alone going into the next period in July. But you could see that roughly that base rate was 33p, the discount rate was 20p, and the peak rate was 53p. And the reason why I advocated so strongly for people to avoid this, because if you, during last winter, if you took the risk with Octopus Agile and Octopus Tracker, there was a great reward. And roughly that worked out, depending how you managed to utilize your energy. Everyone across the country were able to get their energy consumption down to 16, 17, 18, 19 pence per kilowatt hour for the whole of their consumption. That was that average rate. So even the very cheapest rate on Cosy, it wasn't as cheap as what we were seeing with Octopus Tracker and Octopus Agile during last winter. But things are changing quite dramatically, because Tracker and Octopus and Agile are dynamic tariffs. All of the other energy prices are falling, and we can see now at the moment my normal unit rate is falling down to 22 pence per kilowatt hour. Not that long ago we were pressing almost up into 40 pence, the high 30s. So you can see that things have changed a lot. But Octopus Agile and Octopus Tracker, because they got the jump start on those lower rates, the rest of the tariffs have a bit of a lag effect, and they're just catching up now. So that brings us now to Octopus Cosy and what we are looking at now, and why I think it's a much better tariff. Now, everyone's situation will vary considerably. If you've got a lot of home battery storage, then Cosy could already work for you, but and it also depends on your risk, your acceptance of risk, and what kind of risk profile you're willing to accept. So this is what Octopus have done. Instead of the double dip, they're now giving a triple dip. And when I first looked at this illustration, because of how the previous one looked, I quickly glanced at it and I went, oh well, they've shortened the window of the cheap rate period. But no, what they've done is actually they've pulled up, can you see here? So you could see where the flexible rate was the same as the Cosy day rate previously, But now what they've done is your normal day rate is higher than the flexible, and that's how they've managed to kind of offset the overall costs and give us a third window of cheap energy. So what this means is you could really overdrive the heat pump through those two periods. You could also, during this third window here, you could heat your hot water, and you'll probably be able to also put some extra heat into the building if you had to. So it actually says here the times that these are. So this is a 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. slot, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. slot, and a 10 p.m. to midnight slot. These slots would be quite familiar to a lot of people who are on Agile already, because we know that these are the cheaper times. Between midnight and 4 a.m. we see that it's not always the cheapest time. Sometimes it is, but there's definitely a lot of electric cars that are utilizing like Octopus Go, Intelligent Go, and you can tell that they're turning on their charging at around midnight. And so sometimes we see cheaper rates at 2 or 3 or 4 a.m. when you know that those electric car charging has probably finished and completed, and so we're on to cheaper rates. But anyway, what does this actually mean? This means that this is a viable tariff for those people who don't want to take a risk, that don't want to necessarily have to, change any lifestyle or anything else. You've got an assured rate. And what does it actually mean for the rates? So the day rate, this is right now, and at the moment it shows they haven't updated the Cosy rates here, but you could see that it was 12 pence per kilowatt hour. And then your peak rate, which if you have young children like me and you have to really do your cooking during that peak window, then maybe this isn't the best thing ever. But you can see that the difference between the day rate and the peak rate is shrinking somewhat, but the Cosy rate is still half the cost of the day rate. Now, something else to bear in mind, it says here Cosy Octopus rates are changing from the 1st of July. So you can see they are going down again. Oh, that may be a bit small on your screen. You might have to pause that. Can I? No. Oh, here we go. That's a little bit more zoomed in. So you can see that at the moment we are now we're all zoomed in. So the day rate at the moment is 24.66. For me down here in the south of England, that is going to go down to I don't even know if I'm in southeast or southern England. I should know that, shouldn't I? But either way, that's going to be dropping down. The off-peak rate is now going down to 11 pence. And the peak rate is dropping by a couple of pence as well. But I don't think I'm in southeast England because they've got a lower standing charge. I think I must just be in southern England, 61p. I think that's what I'll be getting. So check it out. It also means if you have battery storage, and well, it depends how you've planned your system. A lot of people are coming with, first of all, having solar panels and a battery, home battery, and then moving on to a heat pump. Then subsequently realizing that they don't have enough battery storage to get them by and to be able to provide enough cheap energy for their heat pump. So a lot of people are doubling up or tripling up on their battery storage. Cosy may mean that you don't need to do that, because you've got the 3 time periods now to potentially charge your battery at these cheaper rates. You may be able to get by with a much smaller battery. I was doing some quick sums, so this is just an initial reaction video, but I want to do some real calculations. I had a quick look at my spreadsheet, and looking at my data from last winter, I think that I could probably get away with a 5 kilowatt hour battery by slightly overdriving my heat pump, setting the heat pump to set back, so it's running at a much lower rate, and then overdriving the heat pump, and then set back again, and then overdriving the heat pump, but also recharging the battery to get me through those other periods. Of course, that won't result in the best coefficient of performance, and it won't be the ultimate way to run it in terms of efficiency, but this could be a very cost-effective way to run it also taking advantage of a reliable and consistent rate and not having to worry about any risk or any gamble or having to work around anything else. I guess we still want to roughly avoid using energy between 4 to 7. But this is an interesting thing anyway. What do you think about these changes? It's great to see that Octopus have listened. I was not the only critical voice of Octopus Cosy. I know I was firmly advocating against it, but Octopus have listened and they've adjusted. And yes, we pay a slight penalty here in the what they call the Cosy daytime rate, but it's a very small penalty compared to the great advantage that we can gain in the off-peak times. That's all from me today. I hope that was interesting and helpful, and if nothing else, at least spurs you on to have a look at your own situation and see if you're on the best possible solution for your circumstances. Thanks for watching.